Hello, and welcome to another View from the Shadows. I'm your host, Troi, and this is another nonfiction video. We're going to hear another one of Janet's experiences, and this one is a bit different. As before, I will be reading her own words. To start, there is a follow-up to the last video. In one of our emails, I had brought up that I have heard of a particular shadow person known for wearing a top hat, and I had asked her if she had ever seen it. I also had inquired as to whether she ever saw the cowboy hat man again. Here is what she had to say. Top hat. My cousins and sister have seen a guy with a top hat when we were little. I can't remember if he was an actual ghost or a shadow. I'm not very sensitive to the other side because I'm too scared and close myself off, but the rest of my family is very sensitive. Western hat. It's not the only time I've seen him. He's come to me multiple times during SP. My mom said I used to complain about a shadow in the corner of my room. It wasn't a human shadow. I just remember it was darker in that area, and I just felt a deep, don't really want to use the word dark, masculine presence. I'm unsure if that would be the same presence as the Western hat guy, who is particularly known for his Western hat. Now I'm curious. Now before we continue, let me state that I have been telling her about some of my own experiences in our conversations. I will at some point later on tell about my own experiences, but not right now. Anyways, I had mentioned something that my family had called the family goblin, and Janet informed me that she too had her own goblin experience. Here is what Janet had to say. Shivers down my spine. That's usually how people describe an experience they have pertaining to the paranormal. I wish this experience just gave me shivers down my spine. It's been about 2.5 years since I've seen him, and I still get this deep, visceral reaction of fear and confusion when I think about this story. I don't try to avoid talking about it, or try to forget it, because even though it still scares me, it fascinates me, and I sort of developed a liking to the fear, more so now that time has passed. It was around May or June of 2014. I was having frequent bouts of SP, at least 1 to 3 instances per night. My then boyfriend started sleeping over every night. I thought having someone sleep next to me would calm it down and give a sense of security. A friend of mine said it helped her with her sleep issues, but alas, this was not the case for me, or my boyfriend. Haha. He has endured me during sleep paralysis, being punched in the face because I'll wake up while he's rolling over and think he's attacking me. Haha, that poor guy. Anyway, on this night, I was having intensely vivid dreams. I'm still unsure if parts happened in real life or if I had an SP happen in my dream. My boyfriend got up to go to the bathroom. I remember I was terrified and panicking about something. I can't put enough emphasis on how terrified I was to let him leave the room. I remember begging him not to get up. I told him, "It's dangerous out there." I must have known something was going to happen. Or maybe it was from a previous dream that carried into my awake state. I'll never really know, just speculate. He left to the other side of the house and left the door open. I could see into the hallway as it was lit up by the moonlight. From my bed, you can see straight across the room into the hallway, which had an old rocking chair and a huge potted plant in front of my door. My boyfriend left, and as soon as he was gone, he moved. He moved. It was like he appeared out of nowhere from the plant, or they passed each other in the hallway and my boyfriend didn't see him. He was a creature. My boyfriend rocked out of the door frame, and he took a few quick steps, like he was rushing somewhere, and stopped short and just looked at me. It felt like forever. I recall this gut feeling of sheer fear. No, something deeper than fear. Instinctual revulsion, if that makes sense. I had no control over myself. The fear came from deep inside, and I just screamed like I never screamed before. It left me shaken to my core, I could say. He turned back to his path and walked behind the rocking chair and disappeared. All I remember after that was being afraid. Then nothing. Blank. Darkness. No dreams, no SP, no sense of time passing. Not a thing until I woke up the next day. I woke up still shaken. Waking up shaken isn't new to me. A lot of my dreams have left me like that in the morning. But this was the worst I have ever experienced. I'm still getting anxiety just writing this. I truly wish I could fully illustrate and let you feel what I felt so you could understand. He was a humanoid creature. Looked about 3 feet tall, very thin. His small muscles were very sculpted. I could see his ribs. He had no hair and long pointy ears. His skin looked almost rubbery and slightly shiny. Think the top of the old man's head when he's been bald for a few years. He was hunter green, and his hands and feet were long for his proportion. He had a very small mouth and nose, perhaps barely noticeable because of his eyes. His eyes, they were so large and glowed so brightly. When he turned his head toward me, it revealed his glowing eyes. Having those eyes bore down on me is what shook me like a sapling in a hurricane. I just broke. It felt like he saw inside me. Maybe that's why I was terrified. It was a bright yellow glow, eerie. When I woke up, my boyfriend didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary had happened the night before. Still shaken, I wasn't ready to ask anyone questions yet. Questions like, did I toss and turn last night? Did you get up to go to the bathroom last night? Didn't anyone hear me scream? I kept quiet all morning, just sitting around the table for breakfast and listening to everyone else talk, just thinking about this dream. It had to be a dream, but it felt so real. I know a lot of my dreams feel real, but this one felt like no other. Instinct was telling me it had to be real, and I had to reach out. There was more to what I saw last night, and I needed answers. So, when everyone started to get up and about after breakfast, I stayed and drew what I saw on a napkin. I showed my sister, who I usually share all of my dreams with, and said, I had the scariest dream last night. This guy was in it. It was so scary. She looked at it and gave me a look agreeing that it would be scary. Then she told me to tell my mom because she remembers my mom talking about something that looked like that a few years back. My mom is full-blood Native American, so when she talks about paranormal, we listen because it's always scary and it's always true. So I showed her and asked her if she's ever had a dream of this creature. She said she hasn't. She said it probably wasn't a dream and that it's a goblin. I don't remember the name she called him by, but it took her a split second to rattle off his name. She said my aunt has seen one, but he's white. They are apparently there for protection. They look scary, but aren't there to harm you. This terrifying creature is here to protect me from something. That little detail possibly keeps the fear gripping me, knowing that something evil is trying to get in touch with me, and this goblin showed up to protect me from it. It's one of my biggest fears to come into contact with evil spirits, as my family has a past with them. Knowing I'm one of the weaker links in my family, I know I'm always going to be a target for them. I want to see the goblin again, now that I know he isn't here to hurt me, even though I'll still be scared. But I haven't seen him since. And that is Janet's goblin experience. I just want to say that before ending this video, that many people feel like they are too weak or aren't strong enough. This isn't true. As we are all sentient entities ourselves, we have more strength than we'll ever know under normal life circumstances. There is one last detail I wish to point out from her story. Just because something may look scary doesn't necessarily mean it's there to hurt you. Sometimes the monster is the hero, even when they may be fighting another monster. Thank you, and remember, it's always easier to see from the shadows.